Give it just a few more seconds and then we'll begin. Okay, welcome to our first live membership orientation. I can see we have a nice sized group today, so welcome. Okay, so the purpose of this webinar is to help you get engaged and make the most out of your membership. During the presentation, you'll learn more about the benefits of being a member and gain insight into the events, programs, and resources available to you directly from our senior staff. So the agenda for today is to briefly talk about who is ITAC. But if you want more information, please review the PowerPoint presentation that was sent to you in advance. Then we will move to cover advocacy, government relations, and policy from the federal and Ontario perspective. We'll look at diversity and inclusion, address the activities from ITAC Talent, ITAC Health, membership, and finally, we will designate about 15 minutes for questions. Currently, you're all muted. However, feel free to submit your questions at any time during the webinar via the portal, and we will read it out on your behalf. Or you can raise your hand. It's that virtual hand there on your screen, and we will unmute you and give you the opportunity to ask the question yourself during the latter part of our presentation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Robert Watson, our CEO and President. Robert?
Thank you very much, Mariana, and welcome to everybody. As Mariana said, this is our first webinar, and it's meant to better inform our members and potential new members of what's going on at ITAC. I'm sure as you go through the hour, you will be overwhelmed of everything that we're doing in support of moving forward with the ICT sector in Canada. And it does represent different sectors. It's not just pure ICT companies. We have other members like banks, like retail outlets, legal firms, insurance companies. So quite a good cross-section of members that are here to promote and move forward the better of ICT. Certainly at the federal level and the provincial level, you'll hear, again, direct interaction with the governments. But then you'll hear overall topics talking about diversity and inclusion, talent, particularly development ICT talent, and health, particularly because it's a particular nuance that ICT health has. Not that it's any different, but because you're dealing with individual patients, there is a different nuance involved with health, and we at ITAC recognize that. So we'll go through with the presentations from each staff member involved. I will be the director of time. You'll find that some of our members have a tendency of going on, but of time, and then we'll go from there. We will look forward to any comments or suggestions of how we can make this better, because this will become a regular scheduled event in order to keep everybody updated. Just a bit about ITAC again is that we do represent all the ICT companies in Canada. We are a Canadian-wide association. We have large Canadian companies, large internationals, and SMEs. 63% of our members are SMEs. So therefore, we do have a very good cross-section and feel that we represent the industry to government and to other industry associations in a more complete manner. So to move forward, we'll now turn it over to Andre Leduc, our VP of Government Relations and Policy. Andre.
Thank you, Robert. So essentially, there are two main lines of business that ITAC engages in with the federal government. One is really modernizing the way that they procure from our industry, and on the other side is all the policy and advocacy work that we do around modern digital government, talent and skills development, competitiveness and trade, and the digital economy as a whole. The key policy files, and we'll go into a little bit more depth on each of these. Nevin is responsible for cybersecurity. I engage on the procurement front with Treasury Board Secretariat, with procurement, our Public Services and Procurement Canada and Shared Services Canada. We engage with government on how to enable the scale up of our sector's small and medium-sized enterprises and how to commercialize their products. We engage in some trade missions, bringing our members technologies to the world. We've been highly engaged on regulation, especially when it comes to data, when it comes to privacy. We are highly engaged on CASL. Nevin just recently appeared in front of Committee on Copyright, so we make a number of committee appearances over the course of the year. We've engaged on lawful access and where it is appropriate for law enforcement to have access to data held by not only our telecommunications service providers, but by our industry members as a whole. We advocate for a more competitive financial and tax system in Canada, specifically around increasing capital cost allowances to allow companies to invest in ICTs. We do a lot of work on emerging technologies, whether it's supporting the growth of 5G and 5G test beds in the country, or the growth of new tech around artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. We've been pushing the federal government in terms of cloud adoption and how they're going about growing their networks. And of course, as I mentioned, we engage quite a bit in terms of privacy, both PIPEDA and the Privacy Act, and the importance around ensuring that we work with the federal government to develop trust and let our citizenry and our customers know that industry and government are working together to create trust in Canada's digital economy. In terms of data, we developed a report this past summer and submitted that into Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada. The report's entitled Building a Data-Driven Digital Economy. We have engaged with ISED in 5 of the 22 consultations that they held across the country. We hosted a consultation on September 5th in Toronto for our membership. It was one of the only consultations that ISED did that had all 3 streams. So one was on consumer trust and privacy, another one focused on talent and future skills, and then the other group was focused on unleashing innovation. And it was an interesting conversation over the course of the day with a number of government stakeholders in the room with our industry. Government is in the process of developing a What We Heard report, and we expect that report to come out before the end of October. Nevin, do you want to take over in terms of cybersecurity here? Nevin, you've muted yourself. You have to unmute.
Okay, sorry about that. It's Nevin French here. Thank you, Andre. On cybersecurity, our big issue that we've long pushed the federal government is that they need to expand their focus of cybersecurity. Historically, the federal government has focused on ensuring the federal government is cyber secure, and now it's something that we really need we need them to take a leadership role in collaborating with private sector to ensure that the whole of Canadian economy becomes more private sector secure. The nationals, we were heavily engaged with them on the development of the national cyber strategy that was released in June. There's still much more work to be done on this, and For instance, the National Cybersecurity Center opened on October 1st. We'll be engaging with the director of that in November. And it's a file that is just going to keep growing bigger and bigger. Of note, I'd like to flag on October 30th, we're planning the Cybersecurity Technology Summit in Ottawa. We're trying to thread the needle on this between having a policy discussion as well as a pure technology discussion on what the future of cybersecurity will look like. If you'd like more information about this, there's a draft program on our website, or you can contact Nevin here at ITAC. Andre mentioned last week I testified in front of the industry committee on Commons to discuss copyright. Our policies were developed by engaging with our members to find out what they wanted to focus on. Primarily, it was on machine learning and artificial intelligence and copyright issues. Lastly, on the new NAFTA or the USMCA, we have been heavily engaged with Global Affairs Canada, developing areas on this. And next week, we'll be having a special update on that, a technical briefing by the leaders of those chapters that we're focused on in terms of intellectual property, digital government, digital trade, rather. So we look forward to sending out that invite this week on a technical chapter next week. And further on, the next slide. Andre, do you want to grab this?
Yep. So currently we're working on developing a conference in Brampton on December 4th to engage municipalities, cities, provincial governments, and the federal government, Infrastructure Canada, on smart cities. And we've done some work in this space. We've developed a Smart Cities Readiness Guide for municipalities with our membership. It was about a 28-person committee that worked to develop that. Now we're following up that work by hosting this conference this coming December. So you should have gotten that email. I believe it would have gone out on Tuesday from Robert out to our membership seeking sponsorship and support, and those who sponsor will help us deliver and develop the agenda for the day. In terms of the key events and activities, we do a Federal Hill Day in the spring. We won't be doing one this spring because we'll be heading into an election, but we also do a budget support Hill Day, which is going to occur on October 29th. We do prepare budget submissions, so we submitted our federal budget submission to the Finance Committee and sent it around to key departmental leads in the city of Ottawa the first week of August this past year. When we have our Hill Days, we seek meetings with ministers and senior government officials, and we bring our industry to that table to support our industry's messaging into the federal government. And now, Denise, I'll hand it over to you.
Great. And can you hear me, Andre? Just want to
Yep.
make sure I'm okay. Great. Okay, so next slide. Janet, are you driving? Okay, great. So this slide on page 13 is a bit of an overview on all of our Ontario activities and services. But essentially what we do on the Ontario file is really quite similar to the work that Andre and Nevin are doing on the federal level, but just with an Ontario focus. So policy, advocacy, issues around procurement, helping you do business with the Ontario government, helping you understand the lay of the land for the Ontario public sector. Really, we're here to help you, our members, really engage on the Ontario file and with Ontario government. So these are just some of the areas that we endeavor to serve you. And if you're interested in engaging around the Ontario committees and files, which I'll talk to in later slides, please do reach out to me directly so that I can make sure that you're added to the appropriate distribution list. But next slide. So these are the 4 active committees within the Ontario file. So we have an Ontario board that is very engaged in helping us set our key priorities and strategy moving forward for Ontario. And then these are the 4 active working committees within the Ontario file. So you do not have to be on the Ontario board to engage in each of these 4 committees. And we'd really look forward to having you engage on any of these that are of interest. We have our digital committee, which is chaired by David Telka with Accenture. And really, we want to promote modernization and innovation and digital transformation for industry and government. So this is a committee that's just been recently launched this year, but we feel will have a lot of activity moving forward. Our Public Sector Business Committee is our longest standing Ontario committee. We have about 500 members engaged on our Public Sector Business Committee list. This is the committee for you if you want to do business with the government and understand the procurement ecosystem, upcoming RFPs, how to navigate the system, partner or network with other members who may be doing business with the Ontario government and forge connections, etc. Within the Public Sector Business Committee, we have a very active procurement working group. And that group works very closely with the Ontario government and municipalities such as City of Toronto to work on improving procurement, which of course is a very important part of the work that ITAC does, and help with procurement innovation. The Entrepreneurship and Innovation Committee is really our SME committee. So that committee it has been designed to help our SME members really engage, help them grow and scale, help them increase their access to market, talent, capital, and really help them network with our other members, whether they want to do business with large enterprise members or other SMEs. So a great opportunity for you to engage there if you're interested. Our Ontario Policy and Advocacy Committee has just been newly formed. We decided to strike this committee because we do have a new government in Ontario, as you know, and so we will be putting a lot of emphasis moving forward in forging relationships with the new government leaders, really helping to understand what direction they may be going in, and so it better informs us, and also to help drive our tech industry recommendations, policy recommendations, budget submissions. So really help us to understand what your key priorities are as members so that we can do our best to advocate on your behalf within the Ontario sphere. So this committee has just been launched, and if you're interested in this one, please do reach out either to myself, but particularly to Nevin French, who you just heard from, who's our VP of Policy. So Nevin helps to lead policy both at the federal level and Ontario level. Next slide, please. So this slide on page 15 is really just a quick snapshot of the types of events and activities that we undertake for the Ontario file. I'll just single out a couple of note. We have an upcoming broader public sector CIO event happening November 30th. It's hosted by Rogers. That's an event where we bring industry leaders from broader public sector government to give us their IT roadmaps, help us understand any upcoming RFP opportunities for our members, really help us get the lay of the land for each of their particular areas of focus. We are just finalizing our presenters for this event, so you'll see a notice go out on that very shortly. And if you're not on the Ontario Public Sector Business Committee list, please let us know. We'll get you on it. Ontario Fireside Chat Series. This is a series held in conjunction with our Public Sector Business Committee meetings. So we bring in Ontario government leaders to help inform our members on their key priorities. We just had an event with Toronto Waterfront, and we'll be sending out the lineup for future events. Procurement Roundtable, we have one coming up in November. The date has to be set, but City of Toronto has confirmed with us that they want to do a roundtable on terms and conditions for procurement. So if that's an area of interest, please let us know. So that's the overview of Ontario, and please, I'm happy to take questions offline or contact me directly about any of the areas I've covered. But now I'll move into diversity inclusion. I'm also the lead for diversity inclusion here at ITAC. So this first slide you're seeing is on page 17. It's really just an overview of why we consider diversity important in the workplace and why should all of you. ITAC is very committed to promoting diversity in the workplace, and the bottom line is we really believe that if your workplace is diverse, then you have greater innovation within your workplace and greater economic prosperity. So it's really important for us to make sure that we're really advocating for diversity and inclusion. So next slide. This is just an overview of how we support women in tech throughout their entire life cycle. So we have 4 very active pillars on gender diversity. If you can flip back, I'll just mention one more thing and then this is really, you'll see the support all the way through from the bringing young women into the ICT sector, advancing her throughout her tech career, helping her potentially to serve on a board. And we also do a lot of work around supporting women entrepreneurs. So for the deeper dive on the next slide. So this is just an overview of the work that we're doing to get more young women into the pipeline. Gina is going to give you an overview on ITAC Talent to tell you exactly how we do that, both young women and men, of course, but we do like to put a gender lens on the work that we're doing so that we're really paying close attention to bringing more young women into the sector. As we all know, that's increasingly challenging. So that's something that ITAC is considers very important. Next slide. We have a very successful Women in Leadership Speaker Series. It's a national series that we host 4 times a year at least. In partnership with Women in Communications and Technology. We showcase top female leaders in the industry in order to invite younger women into the sector and help women understand how they can be more proactive in their careers. We've recently hosted 2 very successful events in Alberta in partnership with the Alberta government in Calgary and Edmonton. And we're really excited about being able to take this series across the country and make sure that our members across Canada are engaged on the leadership file. And next slide. So we also, as I mentioned, are very supportive of championing female entrepreneurs and female CEOs. We do a lot of work to bring them together to mentor and support each other. ITAC launched its first all-female women-led tech trade mission in June earlier this year. We sent a mission of 9 companies to Dublin, Ireland. Very successful. We are now just about to announce a new mission to Web Summit to Lisbon for November 5th to 8th. This is not just a women-led mission. This is open to all companies. There are very strong cyber and AI streams at this conference, and we're just about to send a note out about this opportunity, so stay tuned for that. And my final slide, I've got 2 more, I think. So the next area of focus is women on boards. ITAC has really stepped up to move the dial on increasing representation of women on boards of Canadian tech companies. We have created a registry of just over 50 vetted top senior leaders who are ready to serve on boards, and we've partnered with other organizations to help promote those candidates to companies across Canada to make sure that we're really bringing more female voices to the boardroom table. And ITAC has hosted 2 very successful 3 one-day long Discovery Day sessions where we invite speakers to help educate our senior female leaders and help them get board ready so that we can then essentially hand deliver these excellent candidates to any company who would be interested in bringing women onto their board. And finally, my last slide, we've done some excellent work around the gender diversity issue and helping to solve the challenges in that area. And now we feel that it's increasingly important for us to move beyond gender and expand to a fuller range of programming around diversity and inclusion. So we will be fostering programs and developing activities and events where we will be working more closely with Indigenous groups, immigrant populations, as well as persons with disabilities. So we're quite excited to be expanding beyond just gender diversity. And so again, if you're interested in the diversity and inclusion space, please reach out to me and I can do a deeper dive for you on what's coming up and help you get on the right distribution list. So thank you. I think we're moving on to Gina with ITAC Talent.
Gina, you're also self-muted. You have to unclick your mute button.
I'm on. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gina Van Dalen. I'm the Executive Director for ITAC Talent. Just a quick overview. ITAC Talent was formed in 2014, actually, following a merger with the Canadian Coalition for Tomorrow's ICT Skills. We've been quite busy since that time. Our mission is really to achieve practical solutions to some major talent-related challenges. As you probably have heard from some recent reports in Canada, we need to fill about 182,000 positions for highly qualified professionals by 2019. It's a very complex problem to solve, and ITAC really is trying to focus its programming around that. So there's a need basically to develop digital skills in the K-12 system and increase ICT-related enrollments. Reach the low female participation rates in ICT, as Denise probably mentioned, and there are significant shifts in demand as well, all against this backdrop of a growing need for every industry embracing the tools and the methods of what they call the knowledge economy. So our goal within Talent is really to grow that highly qualified professional workforce from the current projected 550,000 to about 750,000 in 5 years. So next slide. So how do we envision doing this? It's not an easy task. The compound annual growth rate basically from that goes from 2.5 to 4.5, and it's going to be quite an effort. So what we're trying to do is really by providing national leadership through the formation of our soon-to-be formed Tech Partnership Canada. It's a permanent ITAC initiative, which gives us a unique opportunity, I think, working with the private and public sector, bringing sort of collaboration, if you will, and cohesion to scale up those talent activities that can really make a difference. And it allows us to execute on a shared evidence-based national talent vision and strategy and really help to scale and operate innovative national talent programs. Next slide. So we have quite an ambitious initial action plan for the TPC, really focused on a number of areas, sort of not a boiling the ocean, but focusing on really lobbying for the introduction of a national framework for digital skills for grades K to 12, really where that those foundational skills all start. Working to increase the diversity in our industry through programming efforts that promote, as Denise mentioned, digital skills in women, but also Indigenous people and persons with disability, all trying to access the target demographics, basically, that we really have to get into this industry. Also lobbying for a creation of a national strategy for work-integrated learning and developing our programming that focuses on creating more opportunities for outcome-based skills training and mid-career reskilling and upskilling. Next slide. Oh, I think there is a graph actually that's missing. You have maybe one more. Yep, a couple more. Yep, there you go. Wow, technology. So just a quick snapshot of our current talent programming activities. As I mentioned before, talent shortage is a complex problem, and our current initiatives really take a holistic approach, aiming to connect at a number of points on that talent life cycle. So at the K-12, we work with grade 12, 9 to 12 rather, through our Career Match program. And the goal of that program is really to provide sort of an easy to understand, interactive information to high school students and educators to help them explore today's tech-related careers. So we offer educator resources, and we have our Explore STEM Youth Conference, which this year takes place on November the 13th in Toronto, and really creates a great opportunity for close to 2,000 students and educators to explore careers in technology. We also have our Business Technology Management program, which was introduced in 2009 at the undergraduate level. And it was really introduced in response to feedback from industry that new ICT graduates really didn't have the business skills needed by organizations. So we sat down with them, developed a set of industry-focused learning outcomes, and these BTM programs are now offered at close to 30 post-secondary institutions across Canada. We've also established a professional association for BTM called BTM Forum, which provides certification and program accreditation, and also offers our annual BTM Talent Mash, as we call it, which is in 7 cities across Canada. And it's an online case competition, which really creates an ability for employers to connect with BTM students across Canada. So Denise and Andre and Evan have already sort of filled you in on the diversity and inclusion activities and our policy activities, so I won't go into that. Excuse me. So the one other area is that we're working on is this whole area of work integrated learning. It's really is recognized as an essential component to building a highly skilled and productive labor force, and ITAC is a really strong supporter of work integrated learning, and is one of the delivery partners of the Government of Canada's Student Work Integrated Learning Program, where we, through our Career Ready program, provide wage subsidies up to $7,000 and match students in tech programs, sort of the broad spectrum of tech and interdisciplinary programs, with qualified employers. And our focus really is on small, medium-sized enterprises. Then finally, we offer a peer-to-peer networking and professional development program for HR professionals who work in ICT companies through our HR Forum, where we annually provide 6 opportunities to connect and really learn from each other. So next slide. Oh, you have to go down. One more. There we go. Oh, no, one up, actually. Maybe down. Sorry. Go one down. And one more down. Okay. So there are a number of areas for your organization to get involved. Aside from sort of the obvious event sponsorship, there are opportunities to help us guide our programming efforts through steering committees that we've set up for a number of our programming activities. And you can really get involved in helping to shape the curriculum, and then the BTM is a good example of that. But we are now also getting into artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, really trying to listen to industry basically and help shape learning outcomes and competency standards for schools to adopt. There's also opportunities to help to raise funds for new programming activities and act as role models of our Career MASH efforts. We have, as I said, the big conference coming up in November the 13th, and there's significant industry engagement in that. And getting involved with ITAC and our talent initiatives really can give you the opportunity to provide sort of a timely, influential voice on current and imminent skills and talent pressures. So one up, I guess. Yeah, so just from a benefits perspective, it's really about helping us make Canada more expand its competitiveness, ensuring that our youth makes really informed career decisions, and our Career MASH program is just excellent for that. Helping to build Canada's talent pipeline. There's many opportunities to showcase your brand and your people and your corporate culture through our various sort of outreach events with the BTM program, and engage with other industry players and help to influence policymakers. So it's just a great opportunity for your organization and for your employees to engage with ITAC. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, and that's my presentation.
Hi, thanks, Dina. It's my name's Elaine Husing. I'm the Executive Director for ITAC Health. And can you give this the next slide, Janet? Thank you. Just want to go briefly over the health division of ITAC. So that's what we are. We're the health division of ITAC Health. And we basically represent any of the members that are either completely 100% involved with the healthcare sector, or have, maybe a division that's involved with the healthcare sector, or even some that are interested and are a little bit, but maybe even more interested in developing probably, some products or what have you into the healthcare sector. So we're an excellent resource and always open to any member that is looking to do that and finding out more about some industry norms and trends and those kinds of things. So basically the next few slides are pulled from our strategic plan, which are the strategic plan is a membership-driven plan. It's written by the members and updated by them every 2 years. So, the main focuses for ITAC Health, of course, is, from our membership point of view, is to maximize the market development opportunities for the membership, focusing on both domestic and international markets. Strong belief in ITAC health sector, that the health sector is great. You can get a lot of business, but most companies that are, especially Canadian companies, in order to expand and to grow, you have to look outside of the country to do that. And so anything that we do as far as advocacy and such things like that, we will keep that in mind to help increase that opportunity to happen for our members. We also engage in the procurement area. A lot of issues in the healthcare sector, and so what we do is we work with the different stakeholders across the country, in the different provinces, and with our members to help alleviate some of those issues and make it a little bit more of a less onerous experience going through the procurement sector. The next slide, please. Again, these are just key points from our strategic plan, but as you can see, we work with our members to help influence public policy, shape provincial and federal ICT standards and regulations, and that's again going back to that the point in the earlier slide where we were talking about providing opportunities that make sense not only nationally but internationally. So when we talk about interoperability standards, the standards are we'll push for nationally accepted standards that are also internationally accepted, so that there's more access and accessibility for the vendor to then therefore go on and look at export opportunities. We work with our members to build alliances and partnerships with the other organizations and collaborative partners. We also grow our membership and increase revenues to maintain relevance and fund priority activities and achieve long-term financial sustainability. Next slide, please. The services, advocacy, industry insights, international opportunities, relationships and access, networking and partnerships, and knowledge transfer. Those are all, sort of key services that are created for our members to take advantage of. And we actually get all of this work done in 3 committees, and they're very active committees, but that's how we get our member input is from the advocacy committee, membership and program and development, and interoperability and standards. And so if anybody is interested in getting a little bit more information about the ITAC health sector or division of ITAC, please let me know and contact me. And I apologize, I actually am getting a cold and I have no voice, and I've been trying to get water down my throat to do this, so I do apologize if it sounded a little off. But thank you for your time, and I do look forward to hearing from everybody about ITAC Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. I'm conscious of our time here, so I will try to move through my slides quickly. My name is Mariana Coutin-Murray, and I'm the Director of Membership and Corporate Development. So when I talk to members, the feedback I get from them is that there's a sense of community and the activities are very synergistic for their business, really allowing them to make connections and develop relationships with like-minded leaders in the ICT industry and helping them scale their business. We at ITAC want to provide a platform for our members to share ideas and strengthen their relationships with key decision makers in the industries. Next slide, please. So this slide here just lists the benefits members have identified as valuable. So as members, you're entitled to best practices and professional development, potential career opportunities through networking, a strong peer community, latest news, research and trends, advocacy, and of course, volunteer and leadership opportunities. Next slide, please. High value member engagement is core to our team's mission here. So by having your updated company information, interests, activities, it allows us to work obviously better together. We're also launching a new CRM tool that will make this process easier in the future. Next slide, please. Also, we want to celebrate you and our community. And we are committed to profiling our members and create a platform so you can leverage each other better and tap into the ITAC community. So please connect with me to discuss these kinds of opportunities in the future. I just want to add our events programming is increasing. And if you're interested in sponsoring an event, which by the way is a great branding exercise, or being a keynote speaker, or being part of a panel, or perhaps you have an idea for an event or are hosting your own event, we can help promote this for you, or at least discuss your interests further. The best way to do that is to connect with Christine Leonard. She's actually on the call today listening. She's the Director of Events and Program Development. Her contact information is listed on our website and also on the events flyer that was sent in advance of this webinar. As you can appreciate, two-way communication is top of mind for us, and I do invite you to share your announcements with ITAC by adding our social media handles, and we could extend your reach by sharing with our followers. We could also repurpose your thought leadership collateral via our communication channels. So if you have a press release, a case study, please share it with us. And more specifically, you can connect with Janet Gibson-Eichner. She's our Director of Communications. Again, her contact information is listed on our website, but we could follow up and send that information to you. And so in closing, I do urge you to reach out to us and really make the best out of your membership by getting plugged in and participating in committees, attending events, and really becoming part of the ITAC community. Some members say it's like a gym membership. You really do get what you put in. So now we will move to the Q&A part of the presentation. And as I may have previously stated, everybody is muted, and you do have the option to submit your question via the webinar portal, or you can and we'll read it out on your behalf, or you can raise your hand, your virtual hand, and we'll unmute you and give you the floor, so to speak. So Janet Tite, did you want to take over and start allowing people to ask their questions, either by submissions or by any raised hands?
Hi, Mariana. Yes, I'd be happy to do that. I have a couple of questions here. The first one, what opportunities are there for SMEs to engage with government and multinationals? Denise, did you want to take that one?
Sure. So that focus for us on the Ontario file is through our Entrepreneurship and Innovation Committee. But also, if you're interested in doing business with government as an SME, I would actually urge you to join our Public Sector Business Committee here in Ontario and also connect with Andre in that regard on the federal level. We're working really hard to increase access and opportunities for SMEs to do business with government. And so both Andre and I are very much focused on advocating on your behalf there. And certainly on the Ontario file, within our Public Sector Business Committee, we are quite active in helping to, improve and enhance opportunities for SMEs. So I would say reach out to either myself or Andre, and we'll make sure you get connected to the right groups.
Thanks, Denise.
Well, just to add, on Friday morning, you will have all received the invitation from Robert to attend a breakfast at Bayview Yards. We're actually trying to create a center called a Government Innovation Hub, where our larger players and our SMEs can co-develop and collaborate and innovate together to bring solutions to government technology transformation issues. And the concept, part of the concept for the SME community is that by allowing you to partner with some of the larger multinationals, it gives you access further downstream to the global supply chains. And a lot of our multinationals are happy to engage with startups and SMEs to bring that solution out to the global marketplace. So there'll be more to follow on this. We're going to be advocating for federal funding to support the development of this center over the coming months, and we'll keep everybody apprised of our development.
Thanks, Andre. Our next question, could ITAC help us get a government contact? For example, I need an ISED contact in Ottawa.
So there's a yes and a no here. One, you can see the size and scope and breadth of our membership, and there are many members per organization. So I'm happy to do this for the most part. There is a mechanism that allows you to do this, but if you need help figuring out who's playing which role within government and who is best to be contacted by your firm, I'm happy to play that role and help you guide through some of the departments. They're a bit of a minefield and they're so siloed, it's hard to sometimes understand who you might be best suited to contact within an organization. I'm happy to provide that role.
Thanks, Andre. Here we have another question, I think, for Gina. How do I recruit talent and get co-op funding?
Oh.
Gina?
Oh.
You're unmuted.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm unmuted now. The organizer had put me on mute. So we have a Career Ready program, as I mentioned before. So if you go to the itactalent.ca website, there is a portal there specifically dedicated to our Career Ready program. We have a number of placements that we have available each year, and we have just opened up our winter semester placements. So it's a fairly straightforward process. All you need to do is apply using the portal. It is on a first come first serve basis because we only have a limited number. Plus, we have to meet certain target demographics, and we have to be fair in terms of geographic distribution. But it's a great way to get access to very qualified students. Most of them are in co-op programs, and as I said, there is funding up to $7,000 if you're hiring someone from a target demographic. If they're not, then it's up to $5,000.
Thanks, Gina. Okay, our next question. Has ITAC done any event outside of the GTA and Ottawa?
Yes, it's Elaine Husing. We've done a number of them, especially in ITAC Health. We've done them also out of the country as well. So we have done those. I'll let Denise talk a little bit more about some of our trade missions that we've done. We've done those in ITAC Health, but we've done them with the ITAC Ontario group as well. And then perhaps somebody from the overall ITAC could also respond, because we do different events across the country. They're not as numerous as in the GTA area, but we do.
Hi, it's Nevin here. I can jump in. Certainly, we're looking at expanding beyond the Ottawa and Toronto corridor. For example, in June this year, we had a cybersecurity forum taking place in Regina, and we're looking to do more events in various parts of the country on cyber in the new year, looking especially in Atlantic Canada and more in Western Canada as well.
Thank you, Nevin. Now, our last question. Who else does ITAC partner or collaborate with?
It's Robert. I'll take that. We actually do have relationships with other associations, Canadian Wireless Association, the CIO Association, IT World we have a relationship with. We do Canadian Business Council. We have interaction with them, and Canadian Chamber of Commerce. We have interaction with them. Conference Board of Canada. So we will use other information, other associations, other sources of data to formulate our position papers, policy papers, standards, and stuff like that. So quite active in doing that. We don't do any research ourselves. We use research that's been done in other sectors for talent, for diversity and inclusion, for health, and all our main things. We use other expertise information that is already published and our members agree with the content. I think is important to understand. Thank you.
Okay, so we will be wrapping up the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us even after this presentation. The goal is to create member value, and we want to hear from you. We want to ensure the value proposition is clear and refined based on your questions and feedback. Further, we will be sending a post-webinar survey to get your feedback on how we can, make these webinars better moving forward. So let's just circle back to Robert Watson and for any last comments before we end.
Thank you, Mariana, and thank you to all the ITAC staff, particularly. As people on the phone should get a feel that we are fully engaged at ITAC. We are relevant. We only take files forward or develop files that our general membership want developed, and then ITAC takes a leadership role in bringing them forward and having our members participate as and when they want to participate or it's relevant to participate in. I think that's a very good word, relevant. I think you'll find just by the presentations that we are relevant. We are the unique national association that, as I mentioned earlier on, has international companies, Canadian companies, SMEs, banks, insurance companies, retail sector as part of our membership. We are one of the foremost developers of ICT talent in Canada and the support of that in Canada. And it's important to participate in our committees. They're how we get the interaction from our members. There's how we make sure they're engaged. So it's very important to participate in our committees. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here for our members. We're here for a common voice forward, whether it's dealing with ICT health issues, talent issues, diversity, inclusion, purchasing, or development of policy at national, provincial, regional, city levels. And we are, again, national in scope, and we're quite relevant. So thank you very much for your time. And with that, I'll have Janet T. close the meeting. Thank you.